Ladies and gentlemen, our today's topic is structural realism. Structural realism is also termed as Waltzian structuralism, and it is also known as neorealism. Again, our discussion is based on a book, Theories of International Relations, authored by Scott Burchell and his co-authors. Structural realism attempts to abstract from every attribute of states except their capabilities in order to highlight the impact of anarchy and the distribution of capabilities. International structure emerges from the interaction of states. Then it constrains the states from taking certain actions while propelling them toward others. Kenneth Waltz agrees that there are great variations in the attributes and interactions of states. But he argues that there is a significant sameness in the quality of international life through the millennia. Political structures are defined by three things: their ordering principle, differentiation of functions, and distribution of capabilities. In other words, how are units related to one another? How are political functions allocated? How is power distributed? Hierarchy and anarchy are the two main political ordering principles. Units either stand in relationships of authority and subordination, or they do not. If units stand in relationships of authority and subordination, it is hierarchy. If units do not stand in relationships of authority and subordination, it is anarchy. Waltz argues that noticeable qualitative differences exist between politics conducted in a condition of settled rules and politics conducted in a condition of anarchy. Hierarchy entails relations of super and subordination among a system's parts. That implies differentiation of these parts. Consider the separation of legislative, executive, and judicial powers. Anarchic orders, however, have little functional differentiation. Every unit must put itself in a position to be able to take care of itself, since no one else can be counted on to do so. Differences between states are of capability, not function. National politics consists of differentiated units performing specified functions. International politics consists of like units duplicating one another's activities. If all international orders are anarchic, and if this implies minimal functional differentiation, then international political structures differ only in their distributions of capabilities. International political structures are defined by the changing fates of great powers. In other words, international orders vary according to the number of great powers. Balance of power. According to the structural logic, in anarchy, states balance rather than bandwagon. This is the central theoretical conclusion of structural realism. In hierarchical political orders, losing does not place security of various actions in jeopardy. So, actors tend to jump on the bandwagon of a leading candidate or recent victor. Bandwagoners side with the stronger party. By doing so, they attempt to increase their gains or reduce their losses. If an actor bandwagons in anarchy, it risks disaster. Bandwagoning in anarchy means strengthening someone who later may turn on you. When there is no government to turn to for protection, power of others is always a threat, especially great powers. Balancers attempt to reduce their risk by opposing the stronger party. Weak states have little choice but to guess right and hope that early alignment with the victor will bring favorable treatment. Only foolish great powers would accept such a risk. Instead, they will balance. Great powers balance internally and externally. Internal balancing means reallocating resources to national security. External balancing is done primarily through alliances and other formal and informal agreements. Randall Schweller, however, has argued for the potential rationality of bandwagoning in the face of a rising revolutionary power. Structural pressures to balance explain important features of international relations. Consider Soviet-American relations. The United States opposed the Russian Revolution. For 2 decades, it remained adamantly hostile to the Soviet Union. Hitler's Germany was a common enemy. It created the American-Soviet alliance in the Second World War. American and Soviet Union balanced against a common threat, despite their intense internal differences and history of animosity. After the war, the United States and the Soviet Union again became adversaries. Internal and ideological differences did not cause renewed rivalry among them. Enmity between the United States and the Soviet Union was structurally induced. In a bipolar world, each superpower is the only serious threat to the security of the other. Whatever its preferences or inclinations, each superpower must balance against the other. According to this account, the Cold War was not caused by anyone. It was the natural result of bipolarity. Soviet expansion into Central and Eastern Europe arose from neither vicious rulers in the Kremlin nor extreme anti-communists in Washington. It was the normal behavior of a country that had been invaded from the West twice in 25 years and once more a century earlier. Cold War conflicts in Vietnam, Central America, and Southern Africa likewise were not part of a global communist conspiracy. These conflicts were ordinary efforts by a great power to increase its international influence. This example suggests a very important interpretative point. Realism is a theoretical account of how the world operates. It can be used as easily for peaceful purposes as for war. Leading realists such as Niebuhr and Morgenthau were strong and early critics of the war in Vietnam. Robert Tucker opposed the Reagan administration's support of armed counter-revolution in Nicaragua. Almost no prominent realist supported the American invasion of Iraq in 2003.